Hi, everyone. I'm so excited today to be doing another one of my free branding and website coaching sessions. And today, the lovely Michal Shimoni, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right there, has asked me to have a look at her websites, because she has two technically, to give us some feedback. And she's hoping to bring some life into the websites. Let's have a look at what we are working with here. Yep, I'm on the right page. Okay, wonderful. So as you can see here, this is Michal's main website. And then she also has her course website, which is the one where she says she spends the most time in. So Michal, maybe we should start there. I noticed by scrolling down, well, maybe actually even before I even start with that, first of all, like your work is just stunning. Wow. Let's have a little bit of a look at some of her beautiful work here, as you can see. But coming down to the page, I can see that it is powered by Thinkific, which for anyone who doesn't know is one of these third-party course platforms. So, things like Thinkific, Ruzuku, Teachable, Kajabi, these are all kind of systems that allow you to get online course up and running. So obviously you're hosting all of the pages related to your course here, your general landing page for all your courses, as well as like specific pages here, as you can see. And then your regular site, let's call it, with your home, your about page, your blog, etc., is, I think, on WordPress. I haven't checked it, but just looking at the footer here, it kind of looks like it's WordPress. But either way, obviously, I'm assuming it's not on Thinkific. So the first thing I would say there is, it's not the end of the world that you have two separate systems going on here, but it's not really streamlined. And I do think it could be potentially a little bit confusing if somebody is going to your eCourses link here in the main site. And okay, so we're still on your main site here, but then if anyone clicks into any of these individual e-courses, they then get taken to the Thinkific site. As you can see here, so now we're being redirected to the other site. I do think that's a little bit confusing. When it comes to the domain names, let's call it your standard website is Shimoni-m.com. I don't really think that's an ideal domain name. I do think that michalshimoni.art is probably a better domain name to be using. It's more of a direct link to the actual business name that we have here. So I think this is probably a better domain name to have if you were to be combining it all together. I just think it's a little hard to remember all the variations, right? If somebody's trying to locate your website. So that's the first thing that I just noticed. It isn't 100% streamlined to have these two separate websites. And I understand probably you wanted to think of it because it has these landing pages and all these things that probably made it quite accessible for you to put this together. But in an ideal world, what I would normally do if a client is using Thinkific as their membership site platform where they have all of their course videos and content, would be that on your main website, you've got obviously your eCourses landing page, which you already do, but then also the individual sales pages for each of your eCourses. Like if I was to click here, I would ideally like those sales pages to also be sitting within your, let's call it your WordPress website, assuming hopefully it is, rather than being taken off to another site. So the moment that we would get taken to the Thinkific site would purely just be when you're actually signing in. And you can even have in your header here a sign-in section, and then they would be redirected to the Thinkific link to view the actual course content. So in an ideal world, I would recommend having everything before they become a student actually sitting on the one website. That might seem like a bit of a big ask because you've already set up everything within Thinkific. So, it's not the end of the world, but in terms of streamlining things together, I do think that would be a little bit clearer. especially because, let's say that I was navigating your website and okay, I started on the homepage. I had a scroll down here and I thought, oh, this looks really interesting. Let me learn more. Now I'm taken over to here and it's like, well, where am I now? Where's the menu gone, right? Because they might not notice that they've been taken to another website. If I go, or like, there really is no menu. I mean, you could even add a menu here to say like about page, testimonials. What else did you have here? Blog, etc. And that could actually lead it back to the other website. So at least you're sort of integrating them a little bit more, because it's almost like this main website links to the Thinkific, but the Thinkific doesn't seem to, at least on first glance, link back. Yeah, even the home, this home is taking you to the home for Thinkific, not the home for the main site. So there's really no link back to the main site. So therefore, what if somebody goes to this e-course and then they go, oh, wait, maybe I just want to go back and just kind of have a little bit more of an understanding of who Michal even is, then they can't find their way back, right? So it's just something to consider. It's not the most streamlined of approaches, but at the same time, if that is, based on obviously the time that you have available, it may not be the best use of your time to integrate them, depending on how much time you have up your sleeve. Although I do at the same time feel like it would be a logical step to take. Okay, so let's just park that and put it to the side and talk about some other things. So the next thing that I notice is your logo. So to me, there's nothing wrong with the logo. At least you can, clearly read it. But to me, it doesn't have any of your energy. It's just a font. It's just a clean and simple font. And it doesn't, to me, it doesn't reflect who you are in any way. So it's not the end of the world. But if you were looking to, what was the terminology that you gave me? You wanted to bring some life into the website. To me, the logo is pretty lifeless right now because there really is no personality being shown, no reflection of your artistic style, anything like that. So that's just something to consider as something that you might want to look at updating. Coming to your menu here, it feels like an odd choice of like how the menu is laid out. To put blog as the second option here, to me, I would want to put kind of the most important link as the second link. So to me, that would be e-courses or it would be about. And I would honestly put about in with the regular links because the about page is really important when it comes to a personal brand. So to me, I would go, home, about, e-courses, and then your sequence is relatively okay. It just kind of felt odd to me to have blog as that second link that you've got in that menu. I don't know if this is a typo here or whether this is something to do with the spelling from where you're from, but possibly contact is spelt wrong here. So you just have to shift the T over. I'm assuming it's a typo, but I don't want to make any assumptions. That's just a small detail. So that's just the menu section here. Now, the next thing I really wanted to talk about was just, you talked about this idea of bringing more life back into your website. Now, when I had a look at, which site was it again? I think it was here. So this is the home page for your Thinkific courses page, right? So I had a bit of I clicked play on this video, and I've got to say you do an excellent job with your videos. I'll just turn it down a little bit so people can hear my voice at the same time. Yeah, you do a really beautiful job of expressing your energy, your vibe, your personality, the sort of the values and the things that guide you. In this video in particular is the one that I listened to.
She brings me beauty.
The music, obviously the words that you're using, seeing all of your artwork.
Painting is my medicine to be here and now.
So I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I really want you to just really focus in on, okay, how can you take that essence, that feeling, that vibe, and infuse it into all of the visual elements that you have to play with in terms of your visual branding and your website, right? Because of course you can lean heavily into your beautiful artwork and the energy that expresses, but at the same time, you're really not utilizing the things that you have at your disposal, being like your logo, your typography, the fonts that you're using here, your color palette. Really, I mean, it's really just this sort of, I don't know, is that like a sort of khaki green or a sort of, it's kind of hard to tell because it's so thin. I think it's a sort of a green or a sagey kind of color. Then we've got this color here, which is kind of like a dark gray. We've got this sort of light neutral here, and we've got the odd pop of the red. So it's pretty much just neutral. And of course, there's nothing wrong with having neutrals to balance the colorfulness of your artwork, but it just overall feels to me like even here, it's got a bit more personality when you've got the different fonts that you've utilized for this Water Spirit e-course little kind of like logo-y thing for the course. That's when we see a little bit more personality. So I guess when I look at your website, what I'm trying to say is that you really want to be thinking about color, fonts, even graphic elements. Like a lot of the times when I work with artists, I'm actually looking at what little elements we can actually pull out from the artwork, and then maybe we can kind of collage it and overlay it, maybe under the artwork or to the sides or things like that. So we can bring more of that life and that energy and that vibrancy that you have in your artwork, and actually bring it into the pages and bring it into your visual branding, so that it doesn't just feel like you've taken a generic website template and you've popped your artwork in there, which it kind of feels like right now. And you could make it feel a lot more customized and a lot more like it's really reflective of you if you were to infuse some of those elements. Think about your artwork, I guess, and it is quite colorful, really, from what I'm seeing, but we also have obviously some of the more muted colors and the neutrals at the same time. But yeah, it just feels at the moment like it's not fully integrated between you and the energy of your artwork and then the actual visual branding elements that you're using, just purely from what I can see on the website, the websites itself. I don't know if it's slightly different here. I mean, here you've got a little bit of the turquoise, you've got this isn't the home page here. But yeah, you've got a little bit more color coming through, but not a whole lot either. And that's not to say that I want you to go crazy with color necessarily, but I just think like it doesn't feel like it necessarily reflects your essence right now is what I'm picking up on. The other thing that I picked up on was when we go into gallery, or I think maybe what I did is I scrolled down and I saw this Faces of the Feminine. So I clicked into that. This is just my journey through the website, right? And then I was like, oh, okay, so you don't just do e-courses, you also do sell your artwork technically. But I'm like, where is that in the menu? It's not there, which is a little strange, right? Because if somebody is actually wanting to buy your artwork, it's not very clear what that path is to get there, because it shouldn't be hidden away. It should definitely be a menu item to say shop. And I'll talk about gallery in a second in terms of because I don't think that's 100% clear either. If you are like this, I feel like these transition too fast. It's really jarring for the eye. To me, that's way too much. But yeah, if you are selling these, I would put pricing. I would make it clear that these are actually for sale, because I'm not sure that that is clear right now. Okay, so let's jump up to the gallery here. So I don't really know what it means. On first glance, when you say gallery, I wasn't sure what that was exactly going to mean. And to me, this is kind of a little bit confusing, the way that you blend your own artwork in with student paintings. So sometimes you're featuring your students, sometimes you're featuring yourself. Then it starts to get confusing. It's like, well, what am I looking at here? And is this just kind of like a portfolio? To me, this in no way indicates to me that, oh, I can actually go and purchase your artwork here. So these are obviously student artwork, and it's great to showcase student artwork in relation to e-courses and here's what you can expect to potentially be able to do. Look how amazing this is. But I don't think it's really relevant in your gallery. That should really be, this is the kind of thing that I would feature in an e-course sales page, not in just the gallery. I don't think that there should be this amalgamation of student work and your own work. I think that if you are to have a gallery, it should just be your own work here, and you can include student artwork separately. But overall, instead of doing gallery, I would probably, but another thing that I picked up on was that sometimes you sell your artwork and sometimes you don't. And I don't know if there's an example. Yeah, for example, here, this is obviously in another language here, and you don't seem to be selling it. So it's a little bit confusing, I would say, especially because, I mean, obviously you're doing a mix of different languages, and this is possibly the way that you view the like you do the translated language one. So I probably wouldn't be like, if this is the English version of your site, I probably wouldn't be mixing in another language in there, because if I'm an English speaking person on this page, I've got no idea what even I'm reading here with in terms of this bit information. So I guess it's a little unclear as to why some work is for sale, some isn't. Maybe this is like a one-off original that you sold. I'm not sure. So to me, I don't know if selling your own artwork is a big component of what you're trying to do or not. To me, by the look of what you've done here, it feels like selling your artwork is not a big part of your business, or not an important part, because it really isn't clear as a new person visiting your site where I would even find that. So if it is an important part of your overall business, I would definitely look at that, because it's from an outsider's perspective, it's not a clear path to where I can buy from you, or why, you know, some are for sale, other ones aren't, how that all works. Yeah, whereas this one is for sale. So I just think that there needs to be more clarity there. Another small thing that I picked up with the testimonials is just that this testimonial from Kathleen, I think it's exactly the same, 3 times it's repeated. So what might be worthwhile if your site is reasonably old, as in like you put this content together a long time ago, is to do an overall audit of everything. Because I don't know about you, but I know from my personal experience, you know, back before I refreshed my website more recently, I didn't even remember what was on half of the pages. Someone would tell me, oh, I saw this on your website. And I was like, really? Did I even have that on there? So first of all, I can completely empathize with the fact that, you know, it's easy to forget what's even there, or to have not checked it in a long time. But that's what causes, like, I guess, little just duplications and things like that to live around here longer than they need to. So yeah, just double check that, because it just kind of makes it feel like, oh, when you see those 3, it's like, oh, maybe something's wrong with the page. You know, you might not get all the way down to the bottom here. So that was just a small thing that I picked up on. Then let's move over to the main site. So I'm going to go here and go to the home page. And one of the things that I picked up was that you've got various different headers here for, let me go to another one of the courses, maybe this one here. To me, the ones here where it's actually on the white text with the full color texture of your own artwork. So for example, here, or even here, to me, it feels more successful than actually what you've got on the homepage, because what it looks like you've done is, from what I can tell between, this looks like it's potentially the same artwork. Tell me if I'm wrong here, but it looks like maybe you've slightly faded the coloring to improve the contrast so that the text was easier to read. Tell me if I'm wrong there, but it looks faded. It looks a little faded out to me if I'm looking at the same artwork here, and I could be wrong, but just from what I can see, I thought potentially you've taken the transparency back, which is a common technique that people use. To me, I feel like it loses the vibrancy of your artwork when you do that. And I actually feel like this has a lot more impact to me, even though, you know, obviously it's not the clearest to read, like, you know, it's not the, because it's just got, you know, the fine detail around the textural elements, but at the same time, I can still read it, you know, like, it's easy enough to read. It could be a little bit clearer, but I still find that pretty easy to read, as with this one here is probably easier again. To me, I like that sort of full color, full vibrancy look, which the other ones had. And I felt like this is a little bit more faded. Another thing that I picked up on was downloadable courses. As far as I can tell, you click the button and nothing happens. So it just took me back to the start. So I don't even know what you mean by downloadable courses. Like, was this meant to go somewhere? I'm assuming it does. Like, normally we don't have a call to action button for nothing. So I'm thinking that there's a technical glitch here that has that needs to be rectified in order to, move someone to the place you actually want them to go. So that's just a little something that I picked up on. I mean, the courses, everything looks amazing in terms of what you're offering here. The only other thing that I was going to mention that I made a note of was I've noticed that you swap and change between writing in third person, writing in first person quite a lot. So for example, in this part here, for example, obviously this is a quote, but in this part here, you're talking in third person. And in this part here, you go, my new e-course. So generally speaking, we like to stick to one. I don't even know what the terminology is, but like to either go third person or first person. But overall, beyond that, I would always hands down recommend that you write in first person. I know probably the traditional artist way of doing it, like putting together a little artist statement, is to write in third person. But I feel like as a personal brand, we're trying to build emotional connection, allow people to get to know us, all of these wonderful things. And writing in third person disconnects us from our reader, because it's no longer us having a conversation with them. It's like some other person talking about us, right? So I would just change everything to be in first person so that you can create more of that emotional connection. And I saw it again, I think in the about page here, that you do a similar thing. Yeah, so third person, and then art is my medicine. I need to take as often as possible. I love all that. So just the mixing of that just feels a little disorganized or disjointed. So I would just make that all consistent. Everything we do, we want consistency, of course. The other thing would be when it comes to the homepage, having the first thing that you say being about seems a little strange to me. When it comes to any of our headings, it's important to recognize that people don't read everything on our websites. We would love that to happen. We all kind of think that surely people are reading everything word for word, but the reality is that they don't. And I noticed when I clicked on, at least when it was here, when I clicked on here, I could see something pop up here about Hotjar, I'm pretty sure, which is this tool that I also use where you can kind of see how users travel through your website. So assuming that you do have that, and I did read that correctly, I can't see it popping up now, you would know, Michal, that people are like going like this, zoom, 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 so fast through your website. And you're going, what? Why aren't they reading it? That's just the reality. We're all, maybe they're not zooming that fast through, but we're all going pretty quickly. We take in maybe headings, maybe we'll pause on something if we're interested in it. But with that in mind, you want to be utilizing the heck out of those headings. And to just write about, to me, is a total missed opportunity for you to actually convey your message. Like when you talk about, art is my medicine, and the kinds of messages and like beautiful, like different things that you believed in that I heard in your video, I would love you to go more into that. So, in Aligned and Embodied, my course, we kind of go into thinking about how we can express all of these things that really represent our heart and our soul. So rather than it just being, you're an artist, you're an art mentor, yes, we do need the practical, this is what you do, but I would love to know, like, why do you paint in that style? Why are you inspired by nature and shamanic work? And what's the benefits of for example, I was listening to part of this video and you had a student and she was sort of talking about how she was painting this water spirit, and like, what does this do to people to kind of tap into these these different spirits and these different archetypes. And I'm not sure what else exactly the specifics of what you do, but it's like we can stay on the surface level, or we can go deeper into what your message really is. And that is what I would really love to see you do, which I think is part of what is going to contribute to bringing that life back into your website like you're talking about. So one part is looking at the visual branding and looking at something like a logo, and how can you take a logo and make it feel like you and make it be embedded with your essence and your energy, or you're bringing in more colors that are reflective of your artwork and your style, bringing in artistic elements, not just in the photos of the artwork, but maybe in other ways. So there's the visual branding, and then there's the copywriting, the messaging, and how that can go deeper. So those are areas where there's a lot that you could do there, but I understand that from the outset, it's probably a little overwhelming. Like, where do I even start with this? How would I even do that? And that's really the process that I run people through in Aligned and Embodied, about how to take a surface level message and visual branding and go to a deeper place with it. But it's definitely something that I would want you to consider. So thinking about entirely, like I love how we can see the video and everything here, but I wouldn't be saying about, I would be really pulling in, like, what is the core message of your work? Why do you do this? You know, and how does this benefit your, so I'm guessing that your e-courses are the main part of your income and kind of like the main proponent of your of the work that you do here, the main thing, you know, just based on what I can see here. Maybe there's obviously the products, but that's less clear, at least from the outsider perspective, like we talked about. But so maybe talking about it from the perspective of your online painting courses, what is the benefit to somebody? Why should they, beyond just being totally inspired by, you know, the beauty of your work? I'm guessing that it goes way deeper than that. I'm sure that there's a lot to what you do, and I would personally love to hear about it. So I think that there's so much more that you can do within your messaging here. You know, you've even got, I guess, a little bit here. But just taking things to the next level in that way. So, I mean, I could go on and on, but I hope that helps just give you an initial bit of an idea here. So what I've talked about is some things that are more technical in nature, you know, little bits where we had, you know, like whether it was the spelling mistake or how the sites integrate, or, you know, minor things about moving around the menu. Then there's sort of the bigger picture stuff about bringing in more of your essence and more of your energy into your visual branding and your copywriting, so that people can really get a sense of who you are, you know, rather than having to take a course. And probably once we get inside your course, we learn so many amazing things about you and your message and all of these wonderful, juicy details. But just from the outset, I don't think we're 100% getting that. And, you know, you've got so much potential here. Your artwork is amazing. And I would just love to see there being that true alignment and cohesiveness between that beautiful energy that gets, that's imbued in all of your artwork, to actually allow that to flow out to the way that you are actually marketing your brand as well. So I hope that helps. Let me know how you go, and good luck with everything for the future. All right, bye.